the second one, I would say it's a strong commitment from the company executive. So you need to have a strong commitment because there will be 100 reasons why things could delayed. And I think in order to tackle potential issues and roadblock, you need to have very good support from higher management. And the third that I would add to the list would be not necessarily something that your team, your regular team, day in, day out, your SAP expert, it may not be something that your team has done before. This is quite a unique journey. So you may not have internally the expert who have been there, done that, because it's quite unusual for a company to do this such projects. So to ask for outside help, at least at the beginning, would be a wise advice. Don't try to do all by yourself because typically you may not have the skills or the bandwidth internally to tackle something like that. So I would say to ask some outside help, especially for the planning phase, I think would be pretty wise before you get started.
Just in closing for 1660, so what are some closing observations that you can impart about rolling multiple plants at once? Or perhaps some insights that you learned when you rolled out this Tier 1 automotive company?
I would say not necessarily for Tier 1 automotive, but generally speaking, I would say when you try to do this kind of a project, you may hear from the street or from the market in general that it's not doable or it would cost millions. You're going to hear many reasons. People trying to convince you that it's not doable. I think my advice to this is it is absolutely doable. It has been done and it is doable. I think do not get overly influenced by all kinds of feedback that it's not doable or it would take years and cost hundreds of millions. It could be done in an extremely efficient way and at a reasonable cost. The fact that it's done based on good planning and good execution, and the fact that in an approach like this, you will obviously tackle several plants in parallel. So in our approach, a company could tackle 6 to 10 plants at the same time. So at the end of the day, you will save money. It's not going to cost more. So my advice would be good planning and don't get sidetracked by opinions that it's not doable or it will cost millions. It is doable and affordable.
Eric said that usually when it comes to an SAP rollout, it takes 3 to 9 months to see value of said migration. Is there anything that you can comment in terms of that observation? It's like there's so much planning involved that people like once it gets to the SAP rollout phase, they just get cold feet and don't do it. So I guess the question is more about short-term versus long-term value. People tend to see value after 3 to 9 months after the migration.
In regards to the benefits of a rollout, I think when we look at it, the 3 to 6 months benchmark, or as far as getting the benefits of a new rollout, I think this is a realistic range. Some corporations are very quick to stabilize the operation because obviously what's happening is after a rollout, your employees are using a new system. There's some learning curve, and it takes a while to get everything working perfectly. So we are talking 4 months. Sometimes it could be a bit shorter, but it could be longer as well. So to achieve the full benefit of your new business process and new operation and a more efficient operation that the SAP provide, assuming obviously the system was designed correctly, I would say that the 3 to 9 months is real. I think with the additional observation that it could be longer, I think it depends a lot on how rigorous your operations are and how you stay on top of it with your management team. So you need to stay focused. After a rollout, not everything will fall in place by themselves. So it requires some good discipline and fine tuning over time. But I think to say that after 9 months, you get the full benefit. It's correct. If ever it goes beyond that, I would say then you need to take a step back and see what exactly is happening in a postmortem, or because typically I would say 5-6 months, you're now back in full operation, smooth operation, and good productivity. Whatever benefits that you had anticipated will materialize if things are done right, obviously.
Okay. Another good bit of information that Eric gave me is 70% of the success of rollouts is preparation. And yet, ironically, 70% of a rollout is the cost of the execution.
Just to make sure I understand your question, is 70% of the cost the planning?
It's an observation. He said 70% of the success of a rollout is preparation. And yet, ironically, 70% of the cost is the execution, not the planning.
I would say when we say 70% of the success, we're not measuring the dollars. If we look at it from a risk factor, from managing the risk and managing the potential roadblock along the way, and the global challenges of implementing an ERP, it is absolutely right that 70% of your success rely on having a very good plant up front. So it doesn't mean you spend 70% of your dollar on the planning. It's not the case. But planning is a short phase at the beginning that needs to be extremely well done, but it doesn't represent 70% of the cost. Where if you look at the cost aspect, there are specific tasks, like, just to pick an example, the data migration. Data migration in any project could become costly. It depends on how you approach it. So you could spend a lot of money on the execution of data migration for a successful rollout. But I think if we look at overall the success of the operation, I think I totally agree, is at least 70% of your success is having a good planning. I would even go higher, because any project that you would attempt, SAP or non-SAP, if you don't have a good plan, your chance of failure increase dramatically. Good planning is never a luxury at the end of the day. If you're going to roll out SAP in dozens and dozens of locations, it is highly critical for efficiency, clarity, and execution. People know what to expect, what we expect from them, and it's easy at the end of every week to measure progress. It makes the whole process systematic, so it makes everybody's life easier at the end of the day.